All right, welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. Here as we are plowing towards Christmas, plowing towards the Cotton Bowl, which will take place on Friday, December 29th down in Dallas, Texas. A lot of Buckeye news, a lot of things are happening around Ohio State, the world of college football. We've got bowl games that were started this week. They had senior tackle. They've got National Signing Day. There's portal news.
Oh,
There's a ton of stuff
oh,
for us to get caught up on. So pretty excited, Schlegs, to kind of dive into all that. And then also, we always do what we do, our favorite segment of the program where we get to dive in and hear what you want to say. We'll get into the tailgate talk presented by All Lines Technology as well, where we answer your questions. And there was a question that I had on YouTube. If you're watching our show that way, you subscribe, like it, have questions. How do we get the questions in? Well, every Sunday, I usually throw it out there on Twitter at BCarp3. I believe the Twitter handle is Bobby Carp Show. And then you are what, Schlegs? What's your Twitter
Schlegel
handle?
Valley all up in that belly, baby.
At Schlegel Valley. So that's where the questions come from. So feel free on a Saturday or Sunday. Just keep watching, follow us on Twitter. We'll get those questions in there. And so we can get them answered for you, Schlegs. So there's a lot of stuff obviously going on right there. We're going to start off though with your Air Force Falcons, I believe, taking on JMU in the Armed Forces Bowl. JMU favored James Madison by 2.5. How do you feel about potentially Air Force this Saturday?
Well, I feel really good right now about the decor. You know what? I love Twitter. I love everybody that connects with us. Somebody made a comment before I get into there. Somebody made a comment about these and why they were on my the backdrop here holding
those
up the
phallic,
big plate.
those little phallic.
Yeah, these, and I don't know. I mean, they somewhat look like something that's inappropriate. So I just wanted you guys to know I took them down, I substituted, I threw a painting back up there. But hey, consequently, whatever this looks like, I also got this from James Laurinaitis, right? So anyways, James Laurinaitis, he had two of them. They're in their house because we had the farm and they're like, hey, take some decorations. I'm like, okay. So I threw them up there, but that's where I got them. I appreciate you guys commenting them, and they are no longer part of the decor. And that was a really great side convo over Thanksgiving to my mother-in-law as to where they went. And I explained to them what they look like. So let's talk about JMU and Air Force. JMU 11-1. I believe they got beat by App State. Their coach, here's the thing in this, right? So their coach just left, went to Indiana. Their quarterback just transferred, right? So going into this game, yes, they're 11-1. And yes, there's all the stuff like JMU was going to get in because they just came, to
they weren't allowed.
One.
Yeah, they technically
allowed.
have to sit out for a year or two. It's the most ridiculous, preposterous thing in the world. Yeah, but since there weren't, imagine this, there's not enough good teams. You have so many bowl games. There's not enough 6-win teams to get in. So we've got to find a way to put other teams in that were ineligible, or even some 5 and 7 squads.
And here's where this game gets interesting, and the spread. And it kind of also goes in to the portal, because guess what? Guys aren't portaling. They're not going into the portal at the academies. Okay. So take a glimpse at Air Force. Air Force starts 8-0. I'm juiced out of my mind. Best start since 97 for them. I thought they had an opportunity of potentially getting 10 wins this year. Last 4 games, they get beat by Army, which was terrible. They lost the Commanders the Chief Trophy that day, got beat 23-3. Why? 6 turnovers. Terrible. So Air Force defense, beginning of the year, averaging 13.4 points per game, playing at an elite level. The last 4, 27 points on average. And offense, I think they had like 4 or 5 turnovers in the first 8 games. The last 4, 11. That's what it's going to come down to. Now you have JMU, no head coach. Well, they're going to have coaches that are there, but also they just lost their starting quarterback that took them to 11-1. So that being said, knowing the academy and what those guys want to do, I'm going to take the points and I'm going to go with the Falcons in this one.
And people always talk about like not having players and this and that, but Curtis Rourke, Ohio University's quarterback, was out, one of the best players in the MAC. I think he was first team all MAC this year. He transferred to Indiana, as you mentioned, JMU's coach heading over there, and they smoked Georgia Southern in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So as you look around and you see this, what could potentially happen? I know they're like, well, this guy's out, that guy's out. A lot of it comes down to in these bowl games, man. What's your level of motivation? Yeah, how much do you want to be there? How hard are your guys preparing? Like, how hard are the coaches game planning? Are they putting a lot of time in? Are you still lifting? Are you doing all this stuff? Because talk about, like right now, Schlegs, they had some time off to be able to start lifting, and then you kind of dethrall. You want to get guys healthy, but you have to keep guys in shape too
Yo,
to
for
be able to
sure.
go play in this game, and especially now when you might be shorthanded.
Yeah, and so like just like a glimpse, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can do that, whether it's bike interval. This is at the beginning, after the end of the season, right? You don't necessarily have to just keep running them all the time into the ground, but there's other ways of making sure that their condition stays up. But then you got to go practice, and you got to go practice with some tempo, right? You still got to be intense while also being smart. And to your point, Bob, there's so many different variables now with the portal and coaches leaving in this time. And to your point, what is the motivation? Well, let's take JMU for that standpoint. They got a coach that's now going to be the interim head coach. Well, he's fighting for a job to either get the job or remain on the staff, because as the coaching world fluctuates, right? Like
As the world
they
turns,
could
like
they,
it's like
they
a
could they
soap
could bring
opera.
somebody else in, and then now you're gone. But how have all of those positions already been filled? I'm gonna give somebody like I got time. I'm gonna give you a quick. This literally happened.
Give me a nugget.
Coach,
Give us a nugget,
I'm
Schlegs.
gonna give this, but this is the world of coaching. You're like, well, they make a lot of money, but it's just all right. Take this in consideration. Coaches, boom. Hey, I'm on the end of a contract. Hey, listen, I wanna give you a bump. I want you to be the associate head coach next year. You're doing a phenomenal job. Mind you, this guy has 3 children. Okay. New coach gets hired, right? Well, first off, they fire the head coach. New coach comes in, doesn't know what he wants to do, on his staff. Then all of a sudden, where he left, they hired a new coach. Okay. And so when he hired a new coach, he brought in some of his guys. He's like, I didn't want to leave this job to take that job. I love where I am. But now, because they brought somebody else in, I now have to leave to go take that job. And then now you're out of a job. So now you go from making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And again, listen, we all get paid very well in what we do at that level, at the highest part of the level, not like the assistants and stuff, especially in strength conditioning, but the highest. But all of a sudden, within a 7-day span, you go from potentially getting a bump in a title to your coach being fired and out of a job with only getting 2 months severance because your contract's up. And now you got to go find that. While all that's going on and you think you're going to have that and you're going to get a new contract, all the other jobs that are around the country are already being filled up. That's just how it works. And again, it's not like, oh, well, it's me or feel sorry for anybody, but I'm just letting you guys know, like, that's how this operates. And so going back to JMU, every time you go out on the practice field, every time you're in the film room, whether you're a coach or whether you're a player, you got to have your A game. You got to bring it every single time, because regardless of who you are, you're fighting for a job.
Always. That's always the case. Everybody wants certainty. They want guarantees. Just like you told me a long time ago, you can take a dump in a box and mark you guaranteed piece of turds. So there's that going on. Also, with all this, the coaching, the bowl games, they got to go get more players. National Signing Day is coming up. We'll talk about Ohio State's class, how it looks, flipping dudes. It's all there for Ryan Day right here on the Bobby Carpenter Show with my man, Anthony Schlegel. Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and apologize today, folks. Battling a little bit of a cold. It's that time of year, most wonderful time of the year. We got Christmas on the horizon, which is going to be great. New Year's, bowl games, all kinds of things. Family football food will be coming at you strong. But we have National Signing Day coming up. And yeah, that's high school guys. They're still recruiting them. It's not all portal talk. Ohio State's got a top 5 class. Schlegs are trying to put this thing together and finish it up strong. A lot of the people I'm 2, 3, somewhere in there. They've got what some people consider the number 1 player in the country in receiver Jeremiah Smith out of Hollywood, Florida. Brian Hartline's done a tremendous job bringing those guys in. They got a lot of stuff going on though with the coaches.
Yep.
What are they doing right now to try to solidify this class?
Relationships, talking to them, because everybody else is trying to get them, right? They're dude flippers, but it goes back to, if I'm a wide receiver, right? Or if I'm a player, you're looking at schools and the schools that are recruiting you and the position and the development side, which, Jeremiah Smith looking at this, and also Mylan Graham, 5-star wide receiver, looking at this, and it's who's produced the best wide receivers in the country? Ohio State and Brian Hartline. So I want to go where the best go. I want to get in that room, and we'll talk about senior day later, but Xavier Johnson's in there. Awesome. Made the room better. So that being said, and there's already a lot of guys there. I want to go compete. I want to be able to start. It's just going to help him. I think he sees that. I think he'll be there. So, but as this class goes, and then along with the portal and the losses from there, right? The Turner, the Jari Brown, like the Cam Martinez, like some of these, again, roster flipping, it's going to happen, but you still have a great class, a number 2 class that are going to come in and compete, and you got to develop them. And that's just what you're doing. This is roster management. And it's not like what is going on at Ohio State. Well, guess what, guys? Georgia, 2-time national champion, only lost 1 game in the last 3 years. I think they had 5 or 6 5-star guys literally enter the portal. And they had about another 8 4-star guys enter the portal. I mean, guys are going in that are starters on the team. Hey, I need more money. I don't have it. Do what you got to do. I'm in the portal.
Yeah, it's tough. That's the element that was never there before. Is guys come in, it's like, hey, I need more cash. Well, this is what we have allotted. Like, it's a finite amount of money. Like, you can go ask people for more. They don't have to give it to you. And when you do that, then it's money that you could be allocating other places. So it's a little bit, it's like salary cap management. I mean, there's that element to it now that's professional. I know people hate it. And I'm not saying I don't love the setup and the way it is, but that's just, you can complain about it all you like, but you need to learn how to operate under it as well right now, because if not, complaining isn't going to help your team. It's not going to help building the best roster you can. The relationship piece is huge. Obviously, there's an NIL component to it, Schlegs, but they're trying to put this together. And the reality is, too, when Ohio State had 14 guys get in the portal, like, they need to make room for these guys to be able to come in.
Sure.
And a lot of guys have announced, I know that we're going to get into this a little bit, of they're going to be playing in bowl games. And, some of these guys, JT announced that he's going to be playing the bowl game. I think Denzel Burke going to be playing the bowl game. And so a lot of those dudes are waiting right now for their draft assessment and analysis. And so when that comes back in, then they'll make their decision on what they're going to do. But if they choose to stay, like, you only have so many scholarships. The NCAA said, hey,
85.
Yeah, we're getting away from the COVID stuff. Like, you have to get back down to your numbers. And I know that we were loose on that, but you have to get to 85 this year. And that's what's got to happen. So there was going to be some pain going through that, because they didn't taper it off when they're giving guys 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years seemingly to play sports. So there was going to have to be a little bit of a purge, but they're trying to bring these guys in as they're putting this class together. Of all the positions, like, you look, I mean, you worked in the strength department. I always said, like, the closer you get to the ball, the harder it is to play early, because those dudes are like grown men and strong, and it takes time to develop that. But what position group would you say is the hardest to have an early impact? And what one is maybe one of the easier ones to be able to come in and maybe play early?
Hardest position straight up is a quarterback position as an incoming freshman. That's the hardest. You have so many different things that you're doing. It's a lot easier, especially if you have a really veteran center, to be able to do that, because they're setting the protection. But you're not necessarily worried about that. You're just kind of worried about where the back's lined up, where is he blocking, and then the route combinations, or if I got to hand it off. But still, being a game manager, being a great quarterback, that's 100% the hardest position. I would say the easiest position as a freshman to come in and make a difference is something that a lot of people don't talk about. And it's every position. It's called scout team. I think this is something that everybody should do. Like, we're getting soft in America, right? And this whole NIL stuff, like, listen, man, if you're a scout team player, if you're a 2 or you're a 3, right, or you're a 4, guess what?
You don't like the flaccid? You don't like a nice flaccid America, a flaccid team? Is that not what we're going for?
No. Well, guess what? It's about this, and it's not like soft. I'm just talking about like feelings and NIL money and what should I get? No, man. Sam Hubbard, guy is a captain down in the Bengals. Man, he held a freaking bag for 2 years. He gave a great look for 2 years. And by giving a great look against starting offensive linemen that are going to play in the NFL, he himself got better. Development happens at practice. And guess what? When you go into games, or let's skip spring football, but let's talk about the season. How can you get better as a 3 or a 4? Guess what? Scout team giving looks. And then you do that on a consistent basis. I call them badge of honor guys. That guy's a badge of honor guy. He loves playing football. He's getting better. He's getting our guys better, ultimately making the team better. Now, when you flip that, you go into the next spring. I want to give that guy an opportunity, but he capitalized it. He's consistent every day in the weight room, in the training room, taking care of his body, in class. I'm going to give him a shot. I want to see what he's doing, because he's earned it, because he shows up every day. Development happens at practice. Games are to be won. The best players play because you play to win. That was Herm Edwards. That's what it is. But development, that's the easiest way, scout team, the easiest way for a freshman to come in and make a difference.
It's amazing. I was talking to Joey Galloway at practice the other day. He came down, and Joey, I think top 10 draft pick, whatever the heck he was, played 17 years in the league, elite
Freak of a
player.
nature,
Yeah,
still could probably run a 4.4, people.
unbelievable.
Crazy talk.
Getting close to 50 years old, or is, I don't know what he is, but yeah, he's that guy. And
Oh,
he
man.
got redshirted his first year. I asked to get redshirted. He goes, I didn't want to go out there and be like the fifth wideout. He goes, I wanted to go work on scout team and work against our great defensive backs, guys who I knew were going to make me better. And I tell people this all the time. Like, Antonio Holmes was on the scout team his freshman year at Ohio State. He was a first round NFL draft pick, played 10 years, whatever, Super Bowl MVP. He roasted some really good corners. Chris Gamble is going against him every day. Chris Gamble gets drafted in the first round, and you're working those dudes. Like the young DBs at Ohio State that work scout team against these elite receivers, going against Marvin Harrison Jr. every day. Like, dude, that's what makes you better. And I will say this: I think the easiest positions are further away from the ball and positions you can package. Like, it's tough to be a package guy on the offensive line. You can package a wide receiver. You can maybe package some running back plays. You can package some stuff defensively where, hey, we can get you some reps here. We'll make sure when you're in your call, you're running these calls, because outside of even just the physical stuff, it's the recognition and the mental aptitude that you need to have to be able to get it done and get it done in critical situations. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about the senior tackle and maybe some more of that development process and piece as well. So stay with us here on the Bobby Carpenter Show with my man, Anthony Schlegel. All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. Thanks for viewing this, whoever you're viewing it on Bally's, on YouTube, Twitter, social media, anywhere. Please make sure you give us a follow, like, subscribe. We're going to have our questions coming up, our tailgate talk, where we answer the questions you want. That'll be coming up next. If you ever want to submit a question, at BCarp3, at Bobby Carp Show, at at Schlegel Valley on Twitter, that's how we get those questions to be able to submit. But before we get into any of that, senior tackles this weekend. And that's always something, Schlegs. It's big, it's fun, and it's kind of like the capstone to your career at Ohio State. Like, senior day on the field's like a celebration for the fans, for you. But senior tackles, when you get the mic, you get a chance to talk. Someone talks about you, whether it's a position coach or, in our case, we used to have players that would speak on you as well. And so there's obviously a lot there, but it's kind of the symbolic passing of the torch. And it's always something that I love to be a part of, because it's kind of one of your last acts as a Buckeye, and you've got to stay 4 years to be able to do it. And so it's a very, very special moment. And when you think about senior tackle, Schlegs, and things come to mind, kind of what comes to the forefront right there for you, and what do you remember about it?
Let me tell you something, man, Bob. First off, it was great to be there with you and James, and to listen to Ryan talk about toughness, sacrifice, resilient leadership, brotherhood, and it's emotional. It's why they love Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State in and of itself, right? The Block O, it's the aggregator of things that they love: football, teammates, their family, coaches, and the gratitude for all the people in the building. We heard that throughout all the speeches. And I kid you not, Bob, like I started like smiling and laughing. And this is literally what I was thinking about. I mean, I loved playing football. I loved training. I loved practice. I loved the film study. I loved the anticipation of waiting for Fick to come in the room. This literally popped into my mind when I'm sitting next to you and James. We're standing there, of the anticipation of waiting for Fick to come in the room, watch film, and then raise the projector and see all the giant dogs drawn all over the whiteboards behind the projector screen. I'm talking rocket ship dogs, super descriptive dogs, abstract dogs, bunch of freaking dog Picassos in that room, right? All waiting. And then, like, finally, also waiting for Fick to just absolutely break and snap, get pissed at you for something that you're doing in the back of the room, reading the newspaper, talking about guys we're recruiting, throwing in what was that, Journey soundtrack while he's coaching. It was amazing. And then he would get pissed at me and AJ like we could control this 265-pound Neanderthal. Like, all of that literally popped into my mind. And those are the memories, man. It's the games that we remember, but more importantly, it's the people that we did it with. And that's why this is so special. And I will say this too, side nugget, the thanking after for their coaches. Yeah. If I'm Ryan Day, if I'm Mickey Marotti, or I'm any coach at any level, listen, regardless of the stress, regardless of the scrutiny, you can never lose focus as to your why that you coach. And you coach to impact young people's lives. And at senior tackle, that is a beautiful moment as to why you coach.
because you don't talk about the wins and the losses at senior tackle. Like
No.
those things have been spoken on. Those are numbers that go on a plaque. Like nobody's sitting there saying, "Hey, congratulations, you did X, Y, and Z." Tommy Eichenberg, you were an All-American. You had this many tackles. Cade Stover, you were this. They did bring up the fact that Cade Stover was the first team All Big Ten tight end for Ohio State in like over 30 some odd years. Which I mean that in itself is almost crazy to think, but
Yeah.
we never really threw to the tight end till Cade and Ryan got here. So kudos to him. But the rest of it's all the stories. You talk to the guys you're going out with, the guys that you came in with, like that class, your group. You're talking to your parents a lot of times who now they're there, the coaches that impacted you and the players, and like understanding and everybody to a man, Schlegs. I've been going to senior tackle now. I know it's your first time in a while. I always try to get back for senior day and senior tackle. And to a man, like just about every one of the guys will sit there and tell you. And I try to tell them that. And as an old man, it's the same message, but they're like, it goes fast. It goes fast, and nothing will ever be the same. And like you get there, you think it's gonna have all this time, and hang out with your buddies, play football, work hard, train hard, developing dudes, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone, and you're sitting there and you're staring around, and you're about to have your senior banquet, and it's always like, oh, it's next year, it's 3 years from now, it's whatever, and then it's there, and so it's an emotional time. It's fantastic. I'm glad you got a chance to see it, and it's great because James, we used to have players that would speak for you. They have the coaches now, but James spoke for you. I thought he spoke for me. I got to figure out who spoke for me. We'll have to ask AJ who did it for him, and kind of how all that went out. But ours was at the stadium. I remember it was freezing cold.
Yeah,
Like
it's really cool.
now they do it inside, and it's better because you practice on a Thursday. We used to do it before Michigan because it was different because we didn't have Thanksgiving that day, and they tried doing it on Thanksgiving, but it rushes everything.
Yes.
So they pushed it back. Now it can kind of be special on its own day. Parents can fly in, and it's pretty cool to be able to do that. But man, you're like sweating, and then you're freezing cold because the wind's hitting you. Sun's going down at like 4:45 because you're in Ohio and it's cold. But it was just amazing. You said sitting there talking with James, and there was a day where he was speaking on you doing that same thing, the
Right.
same thing that we're watching those guys do and be a part of. He was the one that was talking about you. And it seems so surreal as we were kind of going through it, as well, listening to Tommy and Cade and, Steele and this, because those of y'all live together and, different Xavier talk about his journey and his wife is there. Tommy, like, yeah, Cade, Steele, good living with you guys, man. Like, like your roommates. And it was so brief, but so amazing. And I just hope that you got a chance to enjoy it and it was impactful to you as it was to me.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Great memories. Great guys. I mean, listen, I walked away. That group of seniors right there, when I was standing there next to you and James, Bob, they made me proud to be a Buckeye.
They did. They did. It's like talk for a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to pull something out.
Okay. All right. Hey, I'm going to talk for a little bit. And I'll say this, guys. Some of the comments that were on there, I'm not in the building all the time, but it gave you a glimpse into their personalities. Let me tell you something, guys. Tommy Eichenberg is not. Oh, totally remember that. That was our senior banquet.
Yeah.
Our senior banquet. Yep.
The senior banquet. So I saw it sitting in the back. I'm like, I'm going to get that out. Let the folks see a little bit of what
I was
it
just
is.
talking about Tommy Eichenberg, how Tommy Eichenberg, guys, listen, does not speak a lot. It was amazing. Just watch them speak. But you get a sense of their personality and what it means to you, and that's the thing. That's the thing. And even the coaches. I mean, one of the most impactful things on there, Bob, was Matthew Jones. Dude, I mean, listen, man, the best part about it was he came in, but talking to Coach Fry, like, he was like, man, he let me in, he let me coach him, he let me coach him hard. That's it. That's a relationship. That's trust. I mean, it takes a lot for a player. Like, I want you to coach me. I want you to coach me hard, because there's going to be conflict in there because they don't want it, man. We all want the path of least resistance, but to open yourself and like, just coach me, let's go. And then now it's at the end of that. Like, I still want that, So it was a great moment. And I loved just being an outsider, just being able to watch and take it all in. Gave me a great perspective as to the outstanding young men that we have now graduating from Ohio State, and just really proud of them.
Absolutely. Hey, coming up next, we got some bowl stories. Some of the best ones just Schlegs and I have, and what it's like to play in bowl games. We'll get you caught up with all that right after the break here on the Bobby Carpenter Show with my man, Anthony Schlegel. And welcome back in to the Bobby Carpenter Show as we shared some unbelievable stories about senior tackle, what that looked like. Um, Get into a little recruiting, some bowl game stories. We got stories aplenty for you folks, and they're always the best when they come from my man, Schlegel Valley. And so I said, you said you had these great stories. So I said, okay, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to give you the platform, and you can tell us about some of the great bowl game stories that we had. We got some Alamo Bowl stories. We probably got some Fiesta Bowl stories. You got some Air Force stories. I mean,
Bro,
they're all going
I
to be good.
listen, I got a story because um, national letter of intent, early signing period is starting, and we've been talking about recruits, and we've been talking about what do coaches do, right? They go in and you got in-home visits, and in those in-home visits, man, like your mom's cooking. You know what I mean? So hopefully your mom can cook. If not, just go cater it, man. Just go get some Popeyes, right? And like freaking throw it out
You
there.
know what would
Like,
be a great test, Schlegs? Because
yeah,
coaches always gain weight during recruiting season because they got to eat at all these houses. You got to be polite.
yeah, no doubt.
Honestly, like I hope one of my boys is really good so I can do this. And I'm gonna prepare some just awful food. Just really bad. And I'm gonna
Let's see
see if
how
the
much.
coaches will choke it down. Be like, man, this is my wife's specialty. It's so great. And it'll just taste like trash. And I'm gonna watch
Oh,
them sit there and look at me as they slowly have to choke it down. And then at the end, be like, hey, dude, oh, how was the meal? Did you like it? Oh, really? Oh, it's great. Hey, you don't have to lie to us, dude. Quit being a BSer because we
yeah.
made bad food on purpose to see if you would eat it and see if you'd say anything.
Yes,
I
because I
appreciate
want
the
you to be
grind.
honest. I
Yeah,
appreciate the grind, but I want you to be honest with my
be
kid.
honest.
I listen, man. So when I was in high school, but I wasn't. I mean, you're amazing. I got recruited guys by the academies, Missouri and SMU, and Missouri was terrible at the time. So was SMU. I probably had more wrestling scholarships than I had like other offers because I was a wrestler and I didn't go to camps and stuff like. I just wrestled and played football. I loved it. So I'm getting recruited by the Air Force Academy, and Jappy Oliver was the guy who was recruiting me. He was our D line coach, and he was coming over for our in-home visit. Man, this is a big time deal. So he's coming over, and I was leaving wrestling practice. And my mom made some kind of beef stew or something like that, which was one of her specialties. She had about 5 of them. We rotated those literally like every single week, and it was fine. But she was good at it, right? Be good at what you're good at. So, anyways, I leave wrestling practice, head back to the condo, and I get pulled over and I get arrested. And I know Coach Oliver's coming over. I just didn't know
Wait, hold up.
necessarily what time.
I got pulled over and I got arrested. I
Yeah,
feel
listen,
like
I did some stupid things in high school. I don't really know what it
so
was
you had a
for. I got
warrant. You had a warrant out for your arrest,
I
basically.
probably had a warrant. I had a
Okay.
warrant. I got taken to the deal. Well, anyways, so
County
you get in
lockup.
there. No, it wasn't county. It was in the city. So I probably at that for that particular time I was arrested, which there was multiple that they didn't know about. It's okay. We won't talk about that. But it was probably like speeding tickets or something in the effect because I was in the city, right? I was in
Yeah.
the city jail. So, anyways, I got the calls like I got to call somebody, man. I got stuff going on. I made a call, called my house. My dad answers, hey, hey, Coach Oliver's here. When are you coming home? Oh, yeah, I'm just getting done wrestling practice. Let me talk to mom. Okay, talk to mom. Mom, I'm in jail in Highland Park. Get James because my buddy James was living with us at the time. I was like, get James. You got to come bail me out. Here's the amount of money. I don't have that. Well, go talk to my other buddies. They got some cash. Like, you just got to get me out of here. So, anyways, I hang up the phone. They do that. They come over. Meantime, I'm in the jail cell and I'm like working out. I'm doing push-ups. I'm doing squats. I want to be sweaty because I need an excuse. So when I show up, I have something. And my excuse was I was just getting extra work at wrestling practice.
Oh yeah.
So they come in, they bail me out. I drive home. I run up there. I'm like, hey, hey, cars, got broke down. I was working out extra. I'm sorry. I look like a mess. Oh, we sat down. We had a great time. Ate. Great visit. It was awesome. They still recruited me. I ended up going to the Air Force Academy. And I never told Coach Oliver that story until I think it was and I went to the prep school first too. So it was like 2 years later when I finally told him that story. And he just busted out laughing. He's like, man, that is so you. I'm like, yeah. But like that was my in-home recruiting visit. It
Yeah.
was amazing. And but that's what you remember, man. It's the experiences and the coaches and the relationships that you have with them that make this a really special time for all athletes.
It does. I mean, mine was Tress coming to the house with D'Antonio and Tress Dino just getting smoked in ping pong by my youngest brother, who fast forward then, 25 years is now his son-in-law, which is, like the full circle moment coming back. And Tress beat him. My brother was probably, I don't know, I was 18, so he would have been 10 at the time. He's 8 years younger than me. So it was highly entertaining. one of my favorite things. So we went to a ton of bowl games. There's a lot of
Yep.
stories. I'll share a couple of them right now. I mean, the Alamo Bowl, which wasn't obviously a great bowl. With the three Fiesta Bowls, I was at Ohio State. Um, but the Alamo Bowl, we won, you remember Schlegs. We finished the
Oh yeah.
season strong. So we were able to go there, play at Oklahoma State. Les Miles ends up being his last game as the head coach. He takes the LSU job after this. Uh, and you're in San Antonio, so it's not exactly Phoenix, but the Riverwalk was nice.
Yep.
But no one was down there because we play on the 28th. So it's around Christmas. And so we went to this one bar. What was it like called Wild Dogs or Wildcats
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something
I
like
remember.
that? Thundercat. I don't know what the heck it was. And we went to that same bar every single day afterwards, and we would just camp out down there. And I forget, it was open on Christmas. And we went down there, guys go and they'll try to pick up, some ladies. And I'm like, dude, if you're picking up someone on Christmas, and one of our teammates did, and we'll keep his name out of it, found a nice little Latino woman. Um, there may have been gum that got all over their bedroom later, but that
Oh,
she had. But I was like, dude, if you're picking up someone on a bar at Christmas on the Riverwalk, I want you to think about what their life is probably like. We're down here because we have to be. And we've been going to this place every day because it's the only thing to do. And we can walk right down out of the hotel, take a right, and it's literally right there. So, hey, if curfew's at 11, we can drink till 10:55 and still be back in our room.
I think it was called Mad Dogs.
Mad Dogs. Yes.
It
I
was
wonder if
literally
that's,
right at the bottom of the Marriott. You went right
yeah.
down, right to the right. I remember it.
I bet. I mean, I doubt it's probably the same thing, but I bet it's still a bar there. I mean, it's easy shooting.
100%.
When
What?
you're a Texas guy, so told us you're going to take us to a honky tonk one night, drove us out into the middle of middle of
Remember
South
that?
Central Texas. It's like, Schleich, there's no lights out. Where are we going? I don't know. I'm like, dude, this is darkness. I mean, we're lucky we didn't hit some coyotes
Oh my
and
gosh,
not
man.
some human traffickers or everything running through the middle of Texas. So thankfully, it wasn't as bad then. But dude, you have that versus the Fiesta Bowl where you're staying at the Scottsdale Princess, one of the nicest hotels you're going to find, unbelievable hospitality room, endless chips and salsa games, super nice. All the events are great. Phoenix, which was awesome. So like you juxtapose those two, and I tell the guys, this is why you train hard in the off season. You want to win games. Winning
Yeah.
games is awesome. But you also want to win games so you can get to the sweet bowl game because the gifts are better, the hotel's better, there's more to do, it's nicer, and you're not playing right after Christmas, so you can spend Christmas at home and then fly out later, which is the guys this year at Ohio State are finding out like, oh man, we got to fly out the 24th. That stinks. I'm like, yeah, because you got to play, or 23rd, you got to play the 28th. So you got all that stuff that you got to deal with. So all that stuff is great. We got more bowl stories. We'll share more stuff with
Yeah.
you as well. But we got to answer your questions. It's our favorite segment of the show coming up next. Tailgate Talk, where you fire questions away on Twitter. We answer them up for you and dive on into it. That's coming up next with my man Anthony Schlegel right here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. Welcome back into the show. It has been flying by. A lot of good stuff. A
Yep.
lot of great stories. Story time for you around the holiday season. Get the Yule log going, Schlegs, and really just lean back and relax and enjoy some of the great stuff. But now we get a chance to answer your questions on our Tailgate Talk segment. The first one, Schlegs, is going to be coming from Nick Seipel. With all of the portal departures and
Yeah.
anticipated draft attrition, why haven't the Buckeyes been more active in the portal as we've seen with other contenders? What are they waiting for?
That's a great question. And I'm going to go to when you look at the guys from the portal, the great thing about the portal is that you see game film, right? So when I transferred to Ohio State, they got to see 2 years of me playing at the Air Force Academy. They knew kind of what they were getting. In the portal, it's the same thing with these guys, right? You kind of know what you got. Then the question is, are they better than what we already have? And are they better than the potential of the guys that we have coming into the building? And again, now getting back to 85-man roster, where do we want to allocate some of our resources? And who do we need to get and who do we need to fill in? And also from the portal, just because you went into the portal doesn't mean you are going to actually leave Ohio State. You can still potentially come back. So
yeah, but that's on the team, and I think with most of these guys that have gotten in, they're probably, I would say, on their way out. They're
right.
allowed to, but the teams don't have to hold your scholarship anymore.
No,
You
they don't.
can return, but there's no guarantee for it.
And I was just going to say the reason they're a little slow is because I anticipate a lot of those guys that are also waiting for their grades are probably going to be coming back.
Yes.
And so that's to me is why they're not as active. And I understand out there, like, what about the quarterback position? You only have really two, you have a third coming in. I could see us eventually getting somebody that can come in and compete. The Will Howard kid from Kansas State is intriguing because he had 10 rushing touchdowns, he had 24 passing touchdowns, and he's 6'5, 240, and he wants to compete. Like, when
Yeah.
you go and you look at the room, you got to figure out who fits your system, how can it bring in competition, and
And
that's
how
what you
will
want.
disrupt the culture too, like,
Right.
and disrupt
That's another thing. Yes,
everything
sir.
in there because you're trying to
Yep.
work on building guys and development. It's like, hey, stay here, work hard, you'll play. Then you go get guys. So Ohio State's been very selective.
Got to be.
Bringing in Igman Newsom, who's been an awesome addition, worked out really well. Jahad Carter probably hasn't worked out quite as well so far. Victor Cutler probably didn't work out the way that they had hoped. I mean, some have worked and some haven't. So you want to be very selective. I will say this: Ohio State's still heavy on scholarships. And so the anticipated draft attrition, I don't think there's going to be a lot of that. I think a lot of these guys, one of the questions someone else threw in here about JTT coming back, I'm of the belief, leaning that he comes back right now. Now, that's not saying that he's going to, but I don't think his draft grade is going to be as high as he would like it to be. I think it's probably a similar situation with Jack Sawyer. So we'll see. Hopefully, maybe those two guys coming back. Cody Simon announced that he's going to be returning, which is huge. Jordan Hancock, I think, is a guy that we could see coming back. Denzel Burke, we'll see how his draft grade looks. He's going to play in the bowl game. I could see him leaving. I could see him coming back. I'd probably give the edge to him leaving. Marvin, I know he hasn't announced it yet, but he's going to be on his way out of here. Maybe Trey. Like, I think there's a good chance that Travion potentially returns. And so, like, I don't think there is a bunch of this draft attrition that people have talked about. And I don't know if you're finding better players consistently in the portal either, because you bring these guys in and they're bringing in maybe problems or issues potentially from other places. Like Igman Newsom's been a home run, but there's no guarantee that you're going to ultimately be getting that. And also, then you go to the quarterback. Schlegs, I know everybody's looking at that. And you brought up Will Howard. We saw Gabriel,
Malik Murphy, the
Malik
Texas
Murphy.
transfer.
There's potential for that. I don't think we're going to get a transfer quarterback. I just don't see that happening right now. You got Aaron Nolan, they got Lincoln Keenholz, and then they've got Devin Brown. They're going to roll with those guys, and Ryan's going to coach the hell out of them and see what they can do. And I think that that's kind of where he's at with this. Maybe they explored a little early on, but I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're ultimately diving in and scooping somebody up.
And they could potentially pick up another
yeah.
guy from high school, right, to come
Yeah.
in. And because you really need four in there, because you got scout team, right? You got looks, potentially an
Yep.
injury. Somebody moves up. I think having four there. And I'm going to throw this out there too, Bob. Here's something that people don't necessarily realize when you look at like coming back. And I'm going to give an example right here. Luke Whippler, who left last year, right, and ended up being a 6th-round pick. He's up in Cleveland. And let's look at Billy Price. Billy Price was All-American. Now, he was All-American. Well, he was All Big Ten. But he stayed for another year. And he ended up winning the Remington.
Yeah.
And he was with
First
the
round draft
Bengals,
pick.
first round draft pick. And he was with the Bengals for 3 years. And then he's kind of bounced around, and now he's on year 6, but he's still playing. When you're a first or second round guy, especially a first round guy, that sticks with you. And you get more opportunities than if I was a 6th round guy. And so staying one more, especially if you're in a Remington talk, so staying for another year, potentially winning a Remington, and then elevating from a 6th round to even a 3rd round, but having that kind of status of where you are, because it's all about fits and opportunities when you get drafted for those teams, that benefits you. So all these guys, like, where is my grade? And does it make sense for me to potentially stay and elevate that? If it doesn't, then I understand why you should leave. But if I could potentially be in the Heisman talk, if I could potentially be a 1st-round draft pick, if I could potentially go from middle second to 1st or top of 2nd and maybe win some awards, and also, let's not forget this, have some unfinished business with my teammates at Ohio State, then it makes sense for me to stay. And those are the conversations that they're having right now with their parents, with their coaches, to make those decisions.
Final question here, as we're kind of up against it. Who is going to call plays in 2024? Any thoughts on abolishing the CFP committee? I think Ryan probably sticks with calling plays. Maybe Hartline gets involved. I think it's probably going to be Ryan. and then abolishing the committee. The committee's going to be tasked now with picking 12 teams. Maybe they go to back to BCS in a format that's more objective than subjective, but everybody wanted it to be subjective by football people and to put the best teams in, not most deserving. And I think that they got it right. Now, five through 10, it doesn't matter what the order is. Who cares? But I think they got probably the best four in as close as you could. Florida State ain't one of them. And are they deserving to be in there? Absolutely. But they also had a chance to make their case on the field against Florida and Louisville. So I don't think abolishing the committee, I mean, if they want to go to a BCS metric, I'm all for that. That's fine with me. And then it's more objective, but that's still going to have poll backing with it as well. All right. We got to take our final break. Coming up, we'll wrap up the show. Why the bowl season is so special. Any other stories Schlegs wants to get in? We got it all right here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, final segment of the program here as we wrap it up. Schlegs, we got Christmas on the horizon. We got, for the players, the coaches, they're trying to prepare for a bowl game, trying to sign a class. You'll figure that out. But meanwhile, they got to get stuff for their loved ones. I mean, do we have all of our Christmas shopping done? And do you buy for anyone else really outside of the lovely Stephanie?
Matter of fact, hey guys, guess what? I served my wife this year and I wrapped every single present myself. Wrap jobs look terrible, but I did a great. I thought I personally did a great job. So I wrapped them up, and yes, I buy all.
Better hand jobs or wrap jobs, Schlegs?
No, wrap jobs,
at?
wrap jobs,
Okay.
wrap jobs.
Okay.
For me, I'm good at those. I'm good at wrapping. Okay. Anyways, all right. Now you got me off track, Bob. I digress. But I buy for everybody. Like I know what the kids like, but I also like to buy things that I like for the kids, right? So
so you can use them too.
Well, not necessarily, but like, hey, I bought Hunter some like sweatpants for like training, and I bought Faith like a weightlifting belt because she's in a weightlifting class, like Olympic weightlifting. I'm like, cool, I bought her a sweet belt, right? Like I like those gifts, things that help them in the sports that they like, and then obviously some other stuff, right? So got some great gifts from Homage, like Son of a Nutcracker, that's a great one. Filthy Animal, like the logo from Home Alone. Like I got that for Sam because he absolutely loves those things. Anyways, that's what I did, but yeah, that's it. What about you? What do you do?
I basically just get for Courtney help with my parents a little bit, and anything else, assistance for the kids. I can always hop in there. I do love to wrap stuff. My mom taught me how to wrap when I was younger. I'm a pretty elite wrapper of presents. I've tried to teach my third son, Cullen, who's helped a lot with wrapping some of the other kids' stuff. He's been really good at it, so it's been all good. But you got to teach the kids, man. It's like anything else in life. You got to sharpen your sword. You've got to be able to continue to always be honing in on your skills and trying to become the best version of yourself. And then also, before we get out of here, Boise State beat UCLA in the LA Bowl presented by Gronk on Saturday. Not a great look for the Bruins, who will be joining the Big Ten here. And I mean, they're already on their way. They played their last game. So are they officially a Big Ten member now? Probably in football.
Yep. And you know what? I mean, again, their quarterback's leaving the portal. Chip Kelly's there. That wasn't necessarily a good look. I'll say this in the bowl games that are coming up. I'm kind of looking forward to this Northwestern Utah game.
Oh yeah.
Again, you look at the Big Ten. I like to watch the Big Ten games, and then another one, side nugget, Alex Golish down in South Florida playing Syracuse because he was one of our guys, Bob. So like when you watch bowl games, like I watch them for the intriguing matchups. Like you said, UCLA is coming in. We'll watch that game. Alex Golish, I know him. I'm going to watch that game. Northwestern, I know those guys, and they still are figuring out some of their staff going into next season. So that's
all good.
What I'm excited about.
One more show here before the big game. We'll get to it now. It's the Bobby Carpenter Show. Thanks for tuning in right here on the Big Play Network.